Yay.
Yeah. Hi, Izzy.
Hi, Phil.
How are ya?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. What are you drinking?
A nice extra dirty, vodka martini.
That's definitely vodka. All right, guys, let's make a dirty vodka martini. First things first, chill your glass, make it nice and frosty. Get some ice in your, whatever you want to call it. I forgot the name. And then we're going to go in with 2 ounces of vodka, healthy helping. Izzy said she wanted her martini extra dirty, so we're going in here with 1.5 ounces of the olive brine that I made. Give that a nice cheeky stir until you start seeing frost collecting on the outside of the glass. We're not going to put any vermouth in the drink, but we are going to line the cup with vermouth. So you get to say that it's a true martini, I guess, without any of that awful flavor. We're going to double strain to get the chunks of olive out, as well as any unwanted ice chunks. Garnish with 3 olives, not less and not more. If you want to have a toothpick, use it. And there you have it, dirty vodka martini. So the dirty martini, according to the Oxford Companion to Spirits and Cocktails, is adding olive brine to a martini, and it's been around since 1901 until coined into the 1980s. And apparently it has something to do with Franklin D. Roosevelt may have been one of the earliest people to drink them.
Wow.
So yeah.
Cheers to him.
Cheers to him. I'm drinking a lemon drop martini because I can't stand regular martinis. But cheers.
Cheers.
Delightful.
Phenomenal.
Love to hear it. So, how did I meet you? How do we know each other?
Okay, so Phil is one of the many reasons I was employed after my long time at school, and you were the first person to hire me at Shop. What a time.
At Shop Steakhouse and Bar somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah. I'll never forget, and it was I was told that there was someone to interview, so I moseyed on over and I saw you sitting there, and I walked past you at first because I always eye everyone to see what they're doing before I do a lap, and then I sit down and interview them. And you were just sat there being so respectful, so nice. And I remember a certain gentleman who still works there coming up to me, and he was like, "Pretty blonde girl sitting," and I was like, "Good to know." He was like, "You should hire her." I was like, "Okay, man." You can probably guess who it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I remember looking at you, and we found out that we were both kin students.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever told you this, but I need you to take it with a grain of salt. But when, in the same way that no one looks at me and sees a kin student, at that time, I looked at you and I was like, she's a kin student? Because I think that's when you started getting serious with the gym.
It was. And also, I feel like when you're a kid student, if you're not becoming a physiotherapist or a chiropractor or a doctor, or you have your ways set, everyone's kind of like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing with kid?" And then you're like, "Oh, I have no idea, but I know that I grew up in sports and I like to learn about the body and I want to learn more about mind, so I'm gonna do kin in university."
Yep.
And that's how it goes.
But I think that's like the standard pathway of almost every kin student.
Absolutely.
Of, I like sports, I hurt myself, or I want to lose weight, or I want to put on muscle, and I'm good at science. Okay, I'll take kin. And I don't think anyone actually understands that they made the worst decision of their life until it's too late.
Yeah, it's funny because when you go into university, you're like, "Oh, there's this degree and it gives me so many options, and that's so great. I'll have all these options of what I want to do after." And then you get into it, and then you're trying to finish school and you're like, "Oh, I have so many options."
Yeah, but I feel like that's with most degrees to an extent. Like, as long as you hold a degree, your options are limitless.
They are.
But you took it one step further, and where most kin kids would have been like, All right, I finished the finish. I did it. Now I'll figure it out. You went and got your master's.
I did. And it was such an interesting time for me because it was COVID. And not that I think that that played a role, because I had a really great relationship with my supervisor who I did an undergraduate thesis with. She was like my mom and I loved her. So I feel like she was also very convincing in that you're great, you should do this, and I believed that, but I also wasn't sure if research was for me. But I think COVID played a role in that, in the sense of like, what else am I gonna do? Am I gonna find a job? Probably not. I have to move back home. There were so many things. And I was like, well, if I do a master's, one, I have a purpose, and two, I don't have to move back home. So
Yeah.
there's a way to go with that. And as much as it was a great decision, I always wonder where I'd be if I didn't do that. It's so interesting.
I try my best, my absolute best, to not fall into that hole. Because I always go, oh, I would be so much better off if I never went into kin and I decided to do whatever. But I wouldn't have known that kin wasn't for me, and to wouldn't have known that I wanted to do other things without having done kin and realizing how the schooling system works and everything. But so let's say COVID never happened and um, you have your kin degree, but it's a much more lucrative. All right, we lost the camera. All right.
Okay.
um,
It's okay. This is the first time.
it's-
We're learning.
We're learning.
That's why we have a
Um,
drink.
That's why we have a drink. Technical difficulties. Let's hope that's the last time that happens. Um, anyways,
Okay.
so let's saying that if you never got into kin, or sorry, if you got your kin degree, but COVID didn't happen, and you ended up in a position where kin was an easier thing to transition into a wider variety of things, where do you think you would have gone? And do you think you would have been better off for it, or do you think it would have ended up, or do you think you would have ended up around the same place?
See, it's funny because when you ask the question, my brain also immediately goes to like everything else that was happening in my life. So before COVID, which my fourth semester ended with COVID, so it was like March, and I would have had one more month maybe. And I think about how I was in a relationship that honestly, like, probably was gonna end soon based on the way it was going. But even with that, like, I think if that ended also. So part of me thinks like maybe if COVID didn't happen, I would still be in that, but maybe that would be ending. And honestly, when I think of school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, yeah, I finished a research paper and I was publishing it and I was so proud, but I wasn't sure that research was what I wanted to do. And I think before COVID was like becoming a thing and I was talking about what I wanted to do the next year, because I think the words like preemptively have to think about what you want to do, because by the time you're done school and you're coming to an end, a year before that you have to apply for masters or apply for other programs. So I already was thinking about that, and I think I remember thinking that I was going to take a year off and then maybe do a master's, and in that year work, build up some financial stability, and maybe travel a bit was kind of what I had on my mind. So I don't think I necessarily, I don't know, I think I did it because I had the opportunity. And I do think though that if COVID didn't happen and I just kind of came out with my degree, I might not have done a research master's. Like, I think I would have been somewhere else. I had like talks of, I knew I loved dance. I was like looking at a program in BC that combined dance movement therapy and kin, and that was what I did a lot of research on. And then there was like other talks of, I don't know, just sticking with the kids and research with disabilities and going that way. So I don't know where I would have been, but I still think I'm exactly where I was supposed to be. So
Yeah, no, that's
Look where we are.
that here. Look where we are.
I love it.
We're in a nondescript apartment in a nondescript area. Unless you know how to look out windows, then you'll know exactly where we are.
Absolutely.
But on that though, like, when did you realize that, like, regardless of what you got into, be it you stayed in research, or you stayed in the kin field, or you got into dance, or you are where you are now, when did it hit you where you were like, oh, I gotta work, I gotta do that for the next 40 years at least?
Honestly, like, so I had a bad habit. So I grew up an only child. I'm an only child. I don't think I have that. I don't know. Everyone's like, oh, I can tell you're an only child. Like, you have those traits. I don't think I give that off.
You give older sister.
Okay, I love that. I
Yeah.
want to be an older sister. I beg for a sibling. God bless my mom. Love her. Couldn't have more kids. It is what it is. But I think that I just remember, like, this goes back to high school though, when my parents were like, okay, you have to go to work. And at first I think I was upset about it, but I was like, okay, whatever, it's fine. And that's when I started working at McDonald's. And honestly,
Don't you guys love an episode 1?
I love an episode. I knew this was gonna happen, and not even in a bad way. I'm just like, we're really learning here.
We are. But it makes me happier that it was you and not someone who like doesn't know me very well, and then they're like, this fucking guy, I spent my fucking day.
Waste of my time.
Wasting my time. Like, I got like someone with like fucking influence on the podcast. They're like, figure it out, buddy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Working at McDonald's.
Yeah, working at McDonald's. And I say the only child thing because I didn't grow up with privilege, because I would say that my parents, like, when I wanted something, they weren't like, yeah, they were just like, no. Like, they would very much easily be like that. I was spoiled with love, but with things, I very much saw, like, they worked really hard for what they have, so I need to work really hard for what we have. So I was like, okay, yeah, I gotta get a job. McDonald's taught me lots, but then I remember there was a time I then went off to school, and when I was away at school, I didn't work. And my parents didn't really push me to work, and don't get me wrong, I'm paying lots of OSEP debt back, but I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go through it, it's gonna be fine. And then I came home for the second break of first year, like that winter break, in February, and my parents were like, well, you're gonna need to find a job in the summer, so you better figure it out. And I was like, what am I gonna do? My dad took me to a job fair at some weird office building, and it was literally for like people who come to work, like almost like immigrants looking for construction work. And he brought me there thinking I was gonna find a job. It was so random, but I was like, this is not what he's like, you have to go, you need to go. I was so upset. And then I remember my mom was like, well, Lowe's is hiring, like, you need to go work somewhere, like work there. And I was like, I don't want to work there. And I remember crying in the parking lot of a plaza near my house on the phone with my mom saying, I don't want to work, and I don't want to work there. But I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, I go out, I'm getting old enough to go out. And I think that was the first time I was like, wow, I'm working for my own money, and I need that. Because McDonald's was like, I was still living at home, and like, mind you, I came back home, but that was the first time I was like, hey, I need to make money to then spend money in university, to go out and be with my friends. So I think that was my first real awakening of like, I need a job, even if it's a job I really don't want. And I ended up working there 2 summers because I didn't mind it, and I ended up liking it. And I think the whole thing about finding a job also comes from a bit of insecurity and learning something new, because when you're younger, your jobs aren't necessarily what you're going to do for the rest of your life. They're just providing some sort of financial stability. So it's like, what, I'm working this job that I know nothing about. Like, I don't know how to do anything in the home still. Like, I don't know anything. I learned a little bit about lighting and paint and all that kind of stuff, but I still don't know anything from when I worked there. But it did teach me other valuable skills, customer service, all that kind of stuff. But I think that's when I realized I had to work. and work to sustain my habits of
Yeah.
wanting to enjoy myself. But
That's so fair. I remember when I think there's a common theme in like every young man's life when their dad comes up to them, they're like, "Why don't you have a job yet?"
oh yeah,
And my dad did that for like probably since the time I was like 14.
wow.
And I was like, "Dad, I legally cannot work." He's like, "You can find something." And I was like, "Dad, I'm 14." He's like, "Nah, you can find something." So he would always tell me like, "Oh, there's a job fair at the golf course, or there's a job fair here, or you could be a dishwasher here." And I was like, "Dad, like no, I don't want to do that." And it wasn't until I got my first job at Shoppers Drug Mart.
Wow.
Hated it. Hated it. Just stocking shelves. And like, it was called facing. And all we did was bring all of the objects on the shelf to the front to make it look like it was full.
Yeah.
And it sucked. Then I did a landscaping job at McMichael Art Gallery, where I was cutting grass all day and trimming hedges and shoveling shit. And listen, I don't know if you ever looked at me. I'm not the world's most physical guy. I'm like, manual labor is not my style. And I had to be there at like 7 a.m. on the dot every morning for a summer. And it sucked. But it paid decently, like, as far as part-time jobs pay it when you're 17. But it wasn't until I started working in a bakery that like I started realizing about things that I actually enjoy doing. Like I got to meet a bunch of regulars. I got to be a part of people's celebrations. Like, oh, we're on the way to this person's house. They just had a baby. I need to pick up a cake. I'd be like, oh, it's amazing. It's so cute. And then getting to socialize with people every day. And that was around the time that I also like got a girlfriend for the first time and had to start like paying for a woman.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, I need more money, because if I want girls, I can't be living through this part-time job, which increased my pay during COVID briefly, because at the time minimum wage was still like 14 whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They were giving me 18 over COVID.
Wow.
Which back then,
a lot of money.
That's money in the bank.
Yeah.
It was so good. But this girl that I dated was a server, and she was making a lot of money, and I was paying for everything. So one day I was like, babe, can you help me get my smart serve? And she was like, yeah, for sure. Cool. Breaks up with me a week later. Did not get my smart serve. So then I got my smart serve myself a week later, or a few weeks later, and then started as a busboy in a restaurant.
That's it.
And then flash forward, that was February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, right? October?
Yeah.
Flash forward 8 months later, I was hiring people at said restaurant job.
Said me.
And the funniest thing about that is, it's not the fact that I was good at the job or that I hired you or anything, but that job made me realize that no matter what you're doing in life, be it what you went to school for, be it a restaurant job, be it construction, if you just love it and you want to pour your heart and soul into it, you'll be good at it and you'll succeed. Like, you know how if you ask any successful person, it's like, how'd you get successful? What did you do to make all your money, whatever it is? Without a fail, they'll always say, hard work. I put in the hours. I put in the minutes. Yeah, like I bet
so
you.
True.
So true. And I believe I believe that they believe that. But I don't think that's actually what it is, personally. That's a byproduct, but more so than anything is, if you love it, you'll put in the hours without even realizing it.
Exactly.
I spent more time in that building than I did anywhere last year.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's crazy to think, because even myself, like, like speaking on the serving industry now, it's crazy because I remember seeing it all through my university years. Like I saw the bartenders. I was their biggest like guest, client, whatever. And I gave them all the money. Like I tipped them well between going out at school in Toronto, wherever I was going out. And I always saw them and I was like, I love that they do that. And I know they make a lot of money, but I don't know why it never crossed my mind to do that. And then it wasn't until I was in a situation of big financial instability. I came home after my master's. I said, what the heck am I doing with my life? Like, I don't know. And my friend was like, oh, like, why don't you work at this restaurant? I used to work, like, I worked there and I've been there and I loved it. And I was like, why not? And then I'll never forget. I think you probably asked me this question too, but I know the other manager.
What does hospitality mean to you?
Maybe it was that, but yeah, maybe it was that. But it's also like, why do you want to be here? Like I remember the other manager being just like, why do you want to be here? And I'm like, I really thought about the basis of serving, and this comes back to what you love. And I was like, well, I love talking to people. I'm a really quick learner. And like, I just want to try something new. And that feels like such a me answer. Like, I do love talking to people. It's so easy for me. Being like just personable with somebody, getting to know somebody comes easy to me. I like to get to know people. I feel like I see people all the time. Like, even coming to you today, I was like sitting on the subway and I'm looking at people and I'm like, where are they going? What are they doing? And I would love to ask them, but it's just weird. So I don't. But I love getting to know people. And then that comes back to like your bakery experience. And then you translated that to the serving industry because it's like you were a part of so many people's big days. And I just think that's so cool. And I feel like people remember you, you remember people. And then on top of all that, you make the money.
Yep.
And then it just kind of ends up being this perfect trifecta, whatever, of what you need and where you want to be, and just giving you the confidence, financial stability, support system that everybody's kind of looking for at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it's crazy, all of it. It's just crazy. And then that's why you don't leave. So
there's three things that I have to say with that. The first one is the cool thing about the why here question and why do you want to do this. It shows two things. A, you can see if someone would answer with a genuine answer like that, with like I like people, or I want to try something new, or you like some answers to that question have been my favorite things to hear out of people. Second thing is it weeds out I'm just trying to make money right now, because if you hear that, you're like, okay, we'll be in touch.
Yeah. It's so unfortunate that people, I get the side of it, because at the end of the day, really, if I think about it, like subconsciously, why did I pick serving? I needed money and I needed it fast, because coming out of school, it's expensive. Don't expect your parents to pay for it. So then like I have all this debt I'm sitting on and I want to start my life, and starting a life now is so hard with all of how expensive everything is. So where do I go to serve? But at the end of the day, I feel grateful that part of me is just talking to people, and like that just comes from who I am. So it's nice to be able to experience that and be there.
I think beyond the money and beyond getting to have fun with the job that we do and everything, the number one thing that keeps me tied down to the industry is the people. And the people you meet and the people you become friends with. And you meet some of the most interesting people ever, because you are all in a situation, usually speaking, where you're between something. Because other than construction, there's no job out there that can give you the amount of money that serving does, that takes the least amount of qualification that serving does. And because of that, you'll meet so many people who, you meet actors, you meet dancers, you meet people doing their like doctorates. Like I have a friend at Cactus who's doing his master's right now in pharmaceutical drug design. So in a few years, he's going to be printing money. Yeah. But right now, he's serving, having a good time. Yeah. Smelling on mushrooms. I love him. But one thing being a guy in the industry is you gotta be fucking careful.
I know.
Because my entire life, I've always found it very, very easy to get along with and to mesh with and jive with women.
Yeah.
It's always come naturally just talking to women. But I am also the person that doesn't think that women and men can ever truly just be platonic friends in the grand scheme of things.
Let's talk about it.
I don't think in the long scheme of things, overall, eventually, something's got to give somewhere. And I'm not putting blame on the man. I'm not putting blame on the woman. But through all the girls I've ever been friends with, I have either slept with them or our relationship has fizzled out once one or the other has gotten into a relationship.
I see that.
There is some understanding that exists that no one likes talking about, but some people get very offended about, where it's like, we know that we are filling a void in one another's lives that once filled will put damage to our relationship.
Yeah. You know what? It's so interesting because, like, you're talking about this and we're talking as two friends. Oh, yeah. Yep. And, like, Phil and I have never done anything together. Okay, let's put this on the record
on the record.
Before anybody says anything.
Nothing's happened.
We went on a full 2.5-week trip to Europe, and we slept in separate twin beds, and that was it. We had the best time. But this is the thing. I think about, so it's funny, the book I'm reading right now, this guy talks about how, like, he's falling in love with this girl, and he's like, I don't know, it's like, it's different when you hug your sister and then you hug somebody you have feelings with, and it just feels different. And I don't know, like, I think about you, and when I hug you, I feel like I'm hugging my brother. Like, it's different.
As someone with a sister, when I hug you, I'm like, I'm hugging my sister.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know, I think that our relationship is so interesting because I think that trip and going away, because everyone says when you go away with somebody, you learn a lot about somebody. And I'm like, I feel like that kind of, like, I don't know, I feel like it, I don't know what the word is.
Cemented?
Not certified. Yeah, cemented, like, I don't know, just like solidified, like, this is our relationship and this is how it's going to be and we're going to enjoy it. And like,
I think that trip showed us why a relationship
would never work.
Would not work.
Oh yeah, oh my god. But like, at the same time, it just made me, like, appreciate you more. That was something I always wanted to experience. You were the one that was like, we're going to Europe, and I was like, no, I don't have the money. You're like, we always have the money, we're going to Europe. And then we booked it, and It was so fun. And then, like, I just think about afterwards, and like, that's when, like, you weren't around anymore at work, right? So that was right before all that happened. And then I think that as much as our relationship is not the same, like, our friendship is not the same, because like you said, we both also, like, we've done that. We've experienced kind of like being with other people and then maybe falling off a bit. But I feel like we've, for the most part, in what's only going to be now like a year of friendship, has like shown us that, like, we still come back. And I think that, like, with you, we embody what I've learned a lot about friendship, and that it has seasons and it changes, and we both don't get offended because we're very understanding people about, like, you have things going on, you have another life, like, you're busy, we grow up. And I think we both just, like, do a really good job at understanding that, so it makes this relationship just, like, really easy.
I agree, but and this I'll blame both, or I'll blame the two genders that we're talking about for something in this conversation. Okay. Men are usually the reason why the friendship won't work, because it's usually the guy who's like, yeah, so I think there's someone who might like you, but, like, he wouldn't know what to say about it. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, who is he? You know him really well. like all that bullshit. Yeah. That's usually the guy. But it's usually, from my experience, the girl that if the guy gets into a relationship, the girl's like, well, why does that have to affect our relationship? Versus guys kind of get it. And from my experience, at least.
Yeah.
Like, I still talk to my best friend's ex-girlfriend because I've known her longer than I've known him. And there's kind of this unwritten rule and understanding in mine and her relationship that if we're seeing someone, we just don't talk. And we only talk to each other when we're both not seeing someone.
Yeah.
And we show up, we don't do anything. It's not like that at all. We vent to each other, we give each other advice, and then we don't talk for 6 months. And that's just our relationship. But like, as you said, with it goes through seasons, it always comes back. I agree with you, but as much as I will always have care and love for you, I do believe that there is one day that the friendship won't come back. I'm not saying it's tomorrow. I'm not saying it's a year from now. It could be 10 years from now or whatever. But I always go back to my way I say this is there's a reason your dad doesn't have a girl best friend.
100%. And I get that. And I think you're right in that, like, thinking about it. But I also think that it comes with how, let's say, our relationship continues and then our relationship with whoever we end up with continues. Because I have, like, it's funny because I've been surrounded by girlfriends who do have guy friends, but also are now engaged and have guy friends. And those guys are okay with it because they're not necessarily friends, but like they know each other well enough that they're like, this is a level of respect we don't pass. And I think that our relationship will always be there if whoever we both end up with, like, we all hang out together consistently. That's when things change.
I agree with you to an extent.
Okay.
Do you remember someone's question when you told them we were going away together?
Yeah. It's true. But it's also because things were really new. Like, we also were newly friends. Like, that was weird, right?
It was fresher between us. It was fresher between you and this person.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day...
There's those thoughts.
Listen, and again, this I'll blame on the men. The men will always feel a little bit of a way. And the only way that it's, like, not horrible is if, like, you're always hanging out in group settings.
Yeah.
But if the link to the group is through the girl to a guy, it'll always be just like not like a pain, but like just an unsettle in the tummy.
It's kind of like if I don't become best friends with your girlfriend, like, who knows? Yeah.
Like, if, like, from the girls that I've dated and the girls that I've been with or hung out with or whatever, anytime that they have like a best friend or whatever, I'm usually cordial with this girl and we're chilling, whatever. But like, we're not, like, it's not like me and the friend are gonna hang out separately. Yeah. And with that said, like, whenever there's a girl in my life, I step away from the other women in my life. And listen, well, partially because a lot of the women in my life I have slept with, which fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
But then maybe that's why you think like this.
You're right.
You have this, because like maybe it will be different with me.
Listen, I would love for it to be different with you.
I hope so.
But I showed someone recently a photo of you and me in Europe. Woo. And they felt the way about it.
Oh my god.
And I was like, interesting. And I was like, and I described you. I was like, I love this girl. She's like my sister, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, yeah. And I was like,
no.
Yeah.
Guys, Phil and I are just friends. Why can't we be friends?
We can be friends.
I know, just everybody else.
It's everyone else.
It's
and
okay. Let's
other
enjoy
people.
it.
Because listen, like, have you ever watched When Harry Met Sally?
No.
Okay, fantastic movie that orchestrates this perfectly. The other thing about us is, as much as we are good friends, there's a boundary that we both uphold with one another. A good way to describe what I don't believe works was the relationship that I had with someone last year. Exactly. That does not work.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, well, like, but that cost a boundary.
100%. And everyone kind of knew it. We both kind of knew it. Never did anything at all.
Yeah.
But, like, imagine getting a girlfriend and being like, I also have this girl that I see 7 days a week.
100%.
She'd be like, what? It'd be weird.
But then just thinking about everything we've said and we've talked about and, like, guys and girls being friends, I think it also attests to the phrase that guys and girls who have slept together can't be friends, or have had feelings for each other can't be friends.
Yeah.
Because that's really what it is when you look at it. Because, like, Phil, I love you, but I've never liked you. Like, and I look at you and I'm like, I'm never going to date this guy, but I love everything about you and I love being your friend. And I think you add something to my life, which is why I want you in it and I'm your friend. But, like, in terms of, like, when I look at my dating and my relationship side of life, there's other things that I look for. There's other things that maybe I'm a part of or I'm doing. So, like, I don't know. It's just different like that.
Listen, I fully agree with literally everything you said, and I don't want to say repel or mirror it back at you. For everything you just said, I agree and feel the way I do to you. But, and again, maybe this is just the way my brain works or whatever. As a man, and I'm not saying this is something that I've thought about or that I secretly want to happen or anything like that. But if you take most men and you put them in the right scenario with the right set of circumstances, they'll be like, I could do it.
Yeah.
That I think that happens less with women, and I'm not saying that I ever want to be in that situation, but in the way of like looking at it in those terms of like, if I had a girlfriend and trying to think about the ways that I would want to be respected, and so thus how would I want to respect her? I've been in a situation where a girl has said, buddy, like, in your dreams, not even as nicely as you said, not like I love you as a friend, like, thank you for being who you are, you're so important to me, but like, I don't see you that way. Like, literally, buddy, get it figured out, because it's not happening. And then one night, she's a little lonely, maybe the guy she actually wanted wasn't around, right place, right time, a few too many dirty martinis, whatever it is. You're like, well, fuck.
Well, then maybe, because then this is what I think, you have this girl who claims to be a friend, or, you know, whatever. Like you said, you guys had that.
What?
No, we're getting so into it.
It was going so well. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're so sorry. But, okay, this is where I was at. I know exactly. Okay, so based on your experience, you had a woman in your life who claimed to be a friend and said, never in 100 years am I going to sleep with you or see you in that light or whatever. And then they got a little vulnerable and they were like, oh, you know what? Never mind. I changed my life and I changed my mind. And they did that. So now when you find a woman you really like and you care about, and let's say she ends up being your girlfriend, in your head, you're going to be like, she's gonna be like, oh, like, this is my guy best friend, like John, and you're gonna be like, fuck, I was the guy best friend John, and this is what she did.
That's the problem. I am the guy best friend. I am always the guy best friend.
And that's the thing, though. So maybe that's why you have that perception of like, that's what it's gonna be like.
Well, I agree. I'll say it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. I think men are the problem in this situation overall.
Because I think about my own, like, best friends and the guys I've been best friends with. Like, one of my longest guy best friends, I went to prom with him. And, like, we never, ever did anything. And I've never crossed that boundary. And, like, he knows that and he respects that. But every Christmas, hey, Izzy, Merry Christmas, like, I hope you're doing well, or he cheers me on social media, or we'll catch up like once a year and we keep up like that. But it's always been like that. So in my head, I'm like, okay, like, I'm respectful like that, so I try to understand that, like, other girls would be respectful like that, you know?
I have a question, though. If you texted him and were like, I've been doing some thinking about my life and about you and about the other people in it, and I think we should give us a shot.
You know what? This is the thing. I think that based on like our actual situation and him as a person right now, like the last time we talked, which was like maybe a month or two ago, he was in love with this girl. And it makes me so sad because he wants to give her everything. And I'm like, okay, like, what?
Is this the guy that came into Chop?
Yes.
Whenever?
Yeah.
Oh, sweeties. Respectfully?
I know.
Respectfully? 100%. 100%.
I know.
He paid for your bill that day.
Yeah, but like, because he's just a nice person like that.
No. I saw the way he looked at you. I don't care. I know the look of love in another man's eyes because as the guy best friend in high school, in elementary school, granted, this is also probably part of my complex, but I always had to. I usually had a crush on the girl who I was friends with, 100%. I can admit that, but they didn't know, didn't feel the same way, whatever. So they would talk to me about guys that were in their life. And then because elementary school and high school, I would end up being around her and said guy and being the one to watch the situation unfold. So I know how men look at a girl when they want when they love her, when they're into her. I know that look very, very well. And I saw that look in that man's eyes that day.
To all my future boyfriends, I keep my boundaries.
I believe that you keep your boundaries 100%. But
that's the thing. But then you're like, I don't trust him. But it's like, I trust myself, and I would never let that happen.
You're right, but I think and I agree with you. I agree with this, and I would trust you as a. I don't know. I would trust you, but okay. I think every man has been done dirty by
the best friend,
by the guy you don't need to worry about, even if it's not the best friend. It just have been done dirty by a guy in her life that you just gotta trust me. That we know what that guy is trying to do, and we know that it could be as simple as you're just mad at me one day because I did some dumb shit, and I'll own up to you. You're like, I need some space right now, and then there's just a shoulder to cry on.
I know, and now I'm like thinking about my own life, and I'm like, I also have another situation that's like speaking volumes so that guys and girls can't be friends. And then honestly, take it back to fucking like basic science. It's mating, it's natural, it's the way it goes. And also, not for anything, and again, bringing it to being a guy issue, guys don't make friends with girls they don't at least deem as attractive. Absolutely. No, I get that. They don't necessarily need to be attracted to them, but as long as but they have to have that level of like, of attraction. I think you're hot, I kind of respect you. Like, exactly. Yeah. Like, find me a guy and a girl like best friend where the girl is like substantially worse looking than the guy. So true. Doesn't happen. So true. So it's gonna be someone that's like, Phil, you're substantially worse looking than me. Thanks, and honestly, like at the end of the day, we could go back and forth, but I think there's no answer. I think the answer, looking at it, I can agree, can be like, or really is no, but I think that I'm just trying to say we make a very good example that as of right now, like it can work. I think the best example, or the best way to say it is, it depends on the level. Yeah, where you're at, like that stage of it. Like, again, it's not like if you're a guy and you're in a relationship and a girl talks to you at your workplace, you need to be like, I have a girlfriend. She's like, I just needed to know, like, some ketchup. Like, I needed some ketchup. I need you to run a drink for me. Yeah. Like, it's like, okay, man, fine. Yeah. But again, like, personally speaking, and maybe this is just me, maybe some people will think this is toxic. You can say what you want. Me personally, if I'm in a relationship, I'm not gonna hang out with any girl without you, and I would hope that you wouldn't hang out one-on-one with a guy without me unless there's context. Yeah. And it depends on what it is. But like when you and someone were a little bit, well, I never know what you guys were. I still don't to this day. But but like anytime that I invited you to something that like things were happening, I would always say, by all means, if he wants to come, because I get it. And I think, but that's the thing. The guy best friend isn't gonna ask your boyfriend to come
if he.
Yeah, no, it's true though. It's so true.
Yeah, so you're bringing him, really?
Yeah.
All
Really?
right. And also, not for anything, who's the first person that girls usually run to
When things
something
go
goes bad?
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, these shoulders have been cried on so many times. They're permanently wet.
Literally.
Fuck.
Wow.
You gotta love it. But with that said, I continue to make friends with primarily women.
That's it.
But then that's because I'm single.
That's the way it goes. And then who knows? They always say it's better to be friends first.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But in the plan of like being in a relationship, not being in a relationship, being the guy best friend who doesn't get any, being the girl who got cheated on by the girl best friend, being okay, that's a thing though. Sorry, but we'll drop it after this. The girl best friend is worse than the guy best friend.
100%.
And you know it.
And then I think about it.
And then you think about it.
Oh, fuck. I would hate that.
Right?
Yeah.
You see this pretty little thing running around, be like, oh my God, you and Josh?
I know.
We've known each other like so long. It's like,
I
did you get him his favorite snack, this?
This, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I did, because I'm his girlfriend. Oh, you should have got this flavor. He actually liked that one more.
Yeah. Oh, no.
As a guy, I hate it.
I was going to say, and now I'm like, ooh, was I the girl best friend? No. But like, I've never dated. But I never.
Am I the problem?
Am I the problem? No, but I've never dated. Like both of my relationships, they didn't have like girl best friends. So I've never really dealt with that. So I don't really know what that's like. I know I would hate it.
One of the reasons I broke up with my first ex-girlfriend was me and her had plans to hang out. She told me that something changed. She picked me up, topped me off, dropped me back at my house, and then said, I'm going to go get lunch with my ex. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, it's like he's in the area again. We're just meeting up to like just to catch up. Like you don't have to worry about it. And I was like, okay. And
she did. Pause.
Oh yeah. Pick me up, top me off.
Yeah.
Sorry. Said she was gonna go hang out with her ex.
And I was saying that like it's funny because like she gave you exactly what you wanted to like quiet you down and be like, it's fine. Like look what we just did, so it's fine.
Yeah, but in my head I was like,
something
about that just didn't sit well with me. Because it's not like I was like, hey babe, like you wanna slop it. It was really like she picked me up, was like, I want to slop it, did it on the side of the road in her car, dropped me back off like I was a whore, and then went to go meet up with her ex. I was like, I felt so used.
Yeah.
And like considering my life, for me to feel used, I was like, whoa. Then I remember like I was there and I was like, I didn't get mad. I didn't get angry.
Yeah.
I don't think I even really brought it up to her. But it was in that moment that I realized that she was not on the same level of emotional maturity, understanding, whatever you want to say that I was, that I am now. So I broke up with her. Yeah. And I didn't break up with her for that reason. Like there was a lot of things. But I was like, the fact that you don't understand why that's not okay is all I need to know, that this is not gonna work out long term.
Go any further.
I've had the guy with I met this friend at school.
Oh no.
And then I'm like, okay, whatever. I get broken up with, and then 2 weeks later find out that she slept with him, and I'm like, yeah, feels right. I've had the oh no, he was just a rebound and we're still friends, ends things with me, goes right back to him. And you get a little bit of all of it.
And that's the thing, like I'm like, I don't know, I sit here and every girl's different, and like I so respect that, but I'm just like, I am not like that. And I think about all of the guys I know in my life that, okay, yeah, like I'm friends with them. Like one of my best guy friends from university, like, okay, yeah, maybe I could say I know that if one day I was like, hey, let's try this, he would be like, yeah, for sure. But I think about myself and how many boundaries I've set and how I truly look at all the other men in my life, other than the guy that I'm into, that I'm like, I have no feelings here and I would never disrespect you like that. And it just makes me sad because so many other, like, everyone's been in so many other worse experiences. And for the majority, that's not usually how it goes. So, not that I'm like putting myself on a pedestal or that I'm different or that I'm better, but like, I just feel like one of the very few who like truly haven't done that and wouldn't do that. And I get it. Not I get a bad rap for it, but then it's like everyone looks at
Yeah.
me and is like, you're just like everyone else, though. You have
Yeah.
all these guy friends and like all these, like, at the end of the day, you're going to slip up somewhere. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I know that maybe like you do have a friend, but like, let's say I know my maybe one guy friend who I knew from very on, though, at the end of the day, I had a like I was attracted to him. Like all the other guys that I'm friends with, I've never been like, oh, I'm kind of attracted to them though. But like with him, I knew from day one. Like my initial objective was to be more than friends. But then when I realized that wasn't really possible, I was like, hey, like let's just be friends then.
And that's the thing though. That's most men's initial thing.
Yeah, before
and they think that if they stay in it long enough, they'll get somewhere eventually.
Yeah. No, it's true.
And it's never about feelings either. It's never it's like one day you'll look at him a little bit differently when the lights are sparkling on his face just right. It's usually, in my experience,
Yeah.
when a woman is lacking something else, they plug it with that guy.
Yeah.
But regardless of where you stand on any of that,
Yeah.
the one thing that you said that needs to be said for all situations is you got to be proud of yourself and you got to be secure in yourself.
You
and
do.
And you need to, no matter what, no matter if you lost to the girl best friend,
Yeah.
or the guy best friend, or you are the guy best friend and you lost, or whatever it is, you need to be okay with yourself.
You do, because at the end of the day, like when it's done, you have a bunch of support. Some people don't, but you usually do from whoever you're friends with and whatever. But you're the only person who ever experiences everything that you do with this person and like in your life and whatever. And that just brings me back to like, or that just brings me to the point of like my tattoo that says Sonder, where it's like everyone is living in a world that's just as vivid and complex as your own. I think about that every day. And it's like, I think about that a lot when I'm in the situations I'm in or my friends are in, and as much as I'm here to support them and give them advice and vice versa, I will never know what they're feeling or how they feel, just as no one will ever know how I feel and what happened and just like what went on, you know? So you got to remind yourself of that a lot of the time, because I think sometimes we get caught up in narratives of like, this is how it's supposed to be, and like, I don't know, the whole like block him culture, block her culture, or the whole like, this is it, this is that.
I'm a big advocate of block him culture.
I mean, I think it's relevant because I've been in relationships where after it, the block him culture was exactly what I needed because it got me over everything. But I think that, I'm going to be honest, as you get older and you experience more, you realize it's not really black and white with everybody that you meet, even your friends. Mm-hmm. Like, not even talking like relationship breakup with a significant other, like friendship breakup. Mm-hmm. Like, those ones hit hard and they're really hard. And I think that there's a different way of handling them, because I have friends who I don't have on social media anymore, and like that was the way to do it, and like it felt like I needed to do it that way. But I have other friends who I still have social media and it doesn't really bother me as much, and I don't really think twice. And I think it's just, this goes the same for significant others and that kind of stuff.
I agree with all of that. This is probably one of the most toxic things about me, or maybe one of the most indicative things of like my problem with letting things go or whatever it is. I have every single woman, barring one, who removed me.
Yeah.
Every single woman that I've dated or slept with on Instagram still. All of them. And the one friend that I, to this day, am sad that I lost. I still have him. He's still in my private story. I'm still in his private story. And me and Jacob, like, we know that it'll never be the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we keep him there out of the hope that maybe some amount of it could be reconciled, because we miss him and we don't like the way that everything happened. But it's not my circus, not my monkey. It's not up to me. And with the girls thing, like, barring one girl, the one of my exes, who, when we first broke up, I kept her, like, visible and everything. It started off with me muting her stories because I didn't want to see her stories.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was I took her off of, like, my private story and stuff, and all that fun stuff. And then she was still texting me, like, periodically for, like, the first 3 months after, like, she ended things. And then come January of the next year, I found out that she was in a new relationship. And that's when I muted her on everything. But I still didn't unfollow her because there was something in me that wanted to still hold on.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Most recently, with the most recent girl that I briefly spoke to, I told her that if circumstances were slightly different, you know what I mean by that, I would have blocked her on everything.
Yeah.
I said that to her face.
Yeah.
And she was like, why? And I was like, because if circumstances were different, I wouldn't want to know what you were doing. I wouldn't know who you are. I would not care. I would want you as far from my life as possible so that I can continue on with my life in the direction that it is going without you.
Yeah.
But because of circumstances, I have to see this person regularly. So I've had to shift into an exposure therapy method of getting over things.
That's a good way to put it.
But with that said, it's dangerous.
It is, but
it's
this
so
is
dangerous.
Hearing you talk and me talk, it's funny because I think that at the end of the day, the block him, block her culture, at the end of the day, it comes from how you feel. Because you're gonna, like, I truly can say, like, with, like, maybe a friend or two that I've lost, or just, I think it's very valid that some people grow apart. And, like, keeping people around on social media is, I can honestly say not at all, because I'm like, I'm doing better than you. I want to keep tabs on you. I want you to see what I'm doing. I truly just have them there because it really doesn't mean nothing to me. And maybe we have mutual friends or whatever. So it's like very just, it really doesn't mean anything. But then there are some times where there's feelings where it's like, I want to keep you around because I want you to see you're doing better. Like, I'm doing better than you, or I want to keep tabs on you. So it's just so interesting to see how your feelings play a role. But it's hard because just personally in my own experiences, I can't say that there's like I keep people around because it means something to me, because there are people I truly keep around that, like, it's more of like, I don't want it to affect maybe other people in my life. It's not really anything to do with me. Like, I don't really care. It's just such an interesting, I don't even know how we got here.
Neither do I. But
I was just thinking that.
No, dude, there's so many people who I have on Instagram or social media that I don't give a single shit about.
I know. And then don't you ever want to start something new? I think about that all the time.
I kind of treat my private story like that.
Me too. Okay, my other Instagram too. I do that, but
my other Instagram, like, to an extent, yes, but like even the people that follow me there are like, were very, very relevant to me when I made the account. But it's too late now for me to like try to get all the people who are now relevant to my life over there.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So now I just put it on my private story, which is like 6 men. And then like 160 women that I think are attractive. That's all my private story.
Oh my god. So
and that's another thing. If you have, and this is something that is so strong, and someone's gonna call me toxic for this, someone's gonna call me out for this. You can say whatever the fuck you want. If you have a girl and you're in a relationship with her, or you are more than, if you in some way, shape, or form are together, be it exclusive, be it talking,
Okay.
whatever, and she's posting hot photos in the demon hours, brother, run away.
Yeah, but that's valid. And I don't even think that's just something you shouldn't be doing. Like, I think about myself as a woman, and I'm like, I don't do that, and I don't really get it.
I don't
And
post on my private story when I'm talking to a girl.
Interesting. I don't know. I never really had a private story. I feel like I just use my fake Instagram, but it's also all just really my friends, and I more don't post on it when I think my mental health is okay.
Fair. So fair.
Which is so interesting.
But I think all of it goes to respecting yourself. What are you okay with?
Yeah, no, it's so true.
Are you okay? Like, there's some people there are girls out there that their jobs are presenting themselves.
Absolutely.
And if you're a guy that has to date a girl like that, you need to be okay with there's going to be a laundry list of men at all times trying to get at your girl.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And that's where fucking trust has got to come in.
Yeah.
But again, I think actions speak louder. Well, not again, for the first time. Actions speak louder than words. Mm-hmm. It's like, if that's your career, but I know that at the end of your shoots, at the end of your days, you're coming over to my house. You're not going out, getting blackout with random whoever. Then it's like, okay, I can trust you. I don't have to worry about you. But you need to be okay with yourself first and be at a place to put your foot down and say, because I think there's the difference between being toxic and asking for respect is being willing to leave.
It's true.
If you're not okay with your girl, or your man for that matter, doing something, you have the conversation, you say, it makes me uncomfortable when you do this, and then they proceed to do it. You have two options. You get mad, you get toxic, you get mean, you get disrespectful, or you say, I told you I didn't appreciate that. I'm going to go. It was nice. Yeah. Obviously, this isn't going to work out between us. Because that's just respecting yourself and having boundaries versus trying to change someone.
Yeah.
If you're trying to change someone, that person is not for you.
It's true. So true.
I don't know. That's the way that I see it. Because the older I get, the more I feel like I'm getting toxic in the way of like wanting to control my woman. No. But it's more of I'm just respecting myself more.
I think you're just finding what you want out of a partner and like what your boundaries are with somebody. Yeah. And I think we all learn that, like, as we grow up, just as we date new people, as we talk to new people. And that's when it's like, everything's a lesson. And it really is at the end of the day. So I think that, your use of the word toxic is like, I don't know. I don't think it should be called toxic. Like, I think especially when looking at yourself and, like, the way you want a woman to be, I think you need to change toxic for, like, I don't know, your standards or your boundaries. Because, like, that's just the way it is, though. Like, it's true. Like,
yeah. But I've grown up as the guy best friend who gets told that all of those traits from girls are the toxic ones.
Okay. Yeah, which is valid, which is not right at the end of the day, because I think everybody has their ways. Like, I don't know, like, some people I know are in relationships where they're like, my partner shouldn't be going out if I'm not there, and that to me, like, so personally I don't agree with that, because I go out with the girls all the time, and like those TikToks especially of like, oh, like, my guy thinks I'm cheating on him, like, on girls' night, but this is what they're doing, and it's the girl like drunk in like a burger place, like, and they're just trying to get her home. I'm like, yeah, that's me and my friends. Like, I don't know, like, I have girls' nights regularly, and not necessarily that we go out all the time, but when we do, like, it really is just to spend time together. And like, but then again, I'm also like a very much grown out of the club culture.
That's what I was gonna say. I think it depends different on where you're going.
Yeah, okay. Like,
girls'
I mean,
night,
if my guy was like, oh, I want to go to any of the clubs, I guess, down here, I'd be like, but why? Unless, like, I also would want to go with them once to see what it's like, especially if you're dating a guy that, like, you're just getting to know. It's not like you've known them for a long time. Like, okay, this is what you do on Saturday nights, like, let me see. And I think that if I sniffed out any, like, this is not what I want, I'd also, like, I feel like somebody's extroverted life, like their social life and things they like to do are things that you should explore with somebody in the beginning, because then it's easier to be like, I don't like this. Like, you know what I mean? And if that's something they like to do and you don't like that, then like they're just not your person. Because there are people that don't like to go out and want to stay home and like to go to the bar rather than the club, or want to go and spend a full Sunday getting coffee, shopping, and hanging out rather than getting fucked up on Saturday and making Sunday a day on the couch. Like there are people like that.
Yeah, and listen, you got to find your person.
You do.
Find your people. But I think if you have a guy or a girl that like, oh, Saturday nights we go to this club.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's a fucking red flag and a half.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I don't know.
The thing is, I know couples like that. Like, let's say people I've grown up with that now are dating people. And again, social media, I follow them. They both do that. Like, they both club and they love that.
If you're doing it like as like a couple thing, sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Personally, the club to me seems like it's like a mating thing. It's like you go to the club to meet people. You go to the club to meet girls. You go to the club to meet guys. You don't go to the like people who continue to go clubbing in relationships. Something about it like just rubs me the wrong. It's like, oh, it's so and so's birthday. Okay, they want to go to the club, so I need to go. Sure, whatever. But girls who are like, oh, it's Saturday night, like we're going out. It's like, babe, like I just worked all week. Like you really want to do that? She's like, yeah, we gotta go get fucked up on Friday night at Toy Box. I'll be like, okay. Like it just
minimum age is 18.
Yeah.
Maximum age is 18.
Yeah. It just it doesn't, something about it doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, but then again, that's something you don't want in your partner, and that's fine. Because like again, I feel like I look at these people who do club together, and I feel like they got together and they're both like, wow, we're both at the club every Saturday. Like let's just date and then go to the club every Saturday, and they do that together, and I think that's cool because at the end of the day, like if you're going to spend your life with somebody, you got to make sure like they also like do things you want to do or have that compromise, or you guys just share something that you both love to do. And if it's the club, it's the club. I want to make love in this club. Hey.
In this club.
Hey. Banger.
Wow. Yeah, I guess listen, if you're a club couple, then you're a club couple.
Yeah, it happens.
Couldn't
I've seen
fucking
it.
be me though.
It couldn't be me either. I hit 23 and I was like, nope.
When was the last time you went to a club?
Fuck, I don't know. I've been to a lot of bars. I just haven't been to a club in a lot. Like literally, I think I was like 2021, maybe.
I haven't been to a club since I was 19.
Wow. Yeah.
I went to Petty Cash one night, but I wouldn't.
Okay, but I don't even consider Petty Cash a club. Like I'm talking like I went to like an actual club with like a booth. Like those have booths, but you can sit down and like hang out and play pool. If you can play pool, it's not a club.
I need to find like better bars because I don't know if I'm just going to the wrong places, but I don't enjoy anywhere that I go to, and also I don't feel like I can go anywhere by myself.
But you're also in like not for anything, but I'm coming to realize that like 23 to like 26, maybe 25 is like a weird age because you're growing out of the younger clubs, but you're trying to find the older bars that you enjoy. Yeah. So you're in this weird place, and like that's when maybe I feel like I'm in the phase of going out for dinner. And I love it. I love going out for dinner. Yeah, that's what we're doing after this.
I love cocktail bars.
Yeah, like so fun. You could definitely find those though. I think it just comes again with like, let's say dating around or like just asking people older than you what they do. I find that I do that a lot.
Again, with my problem with now my own mating things is if I go to those places, I'm going to be surrounded by women who are like substantially older than me. Not substantially, but older enough that they're like, you're such a baby.
Yeah, no, like, that's what I'm saying. It's a weird age where it's like you start just going out for dinner. And then like going out for dinner is like with your friends or friends of friends, and that's how you meet people. And then I feel like after this phase, it becomes, okay, back on the dating apps, I'm older, and now I'm going to older bars and older things. And then you meet a new group of people. I think that's just the way it goes. But
well, I gotta meet more new people. But I gotta learn more about myself before I do that. Always. Well,
That was a lot.
That was good.
We did really well.
We did good.
Other than the 3 camera malfunctions.
Other than the 3 camera shutdowns, everything went pretty well. Did you like your drink?
I love my drink. Also, Phil made his own olive brine. And I tried it first because obviously I've had regular olive brine before. And honestly, it slaps so hard. And I'd rather have that than regular. So
You heard it here first. Well, Izzy, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate
I love
you.
this.
Thank you so much. This is the first episode, so I don't know if anyone's gonna end up A, watching in general, or B, has any questions that they want me to talk about in the next episode. Let me know in the comments below, or email me. I'll put an email in my bio or something.
Also leave a comment if you think I should be on radio, because since I started serving, I have gotten that comment like probably 20 to 30 times. So comment if you think my voice sounds lovely on the radio.
I think she has a great voice. What do you guys think? Do you guys think women and guys can be friends?
Yeah.
And did you tell yourself that you love you today?
Yeah. Love yourself.
Love
Always.
yourself. Always.
So important.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening, watching, however you consumed. This has been Philip and the Devil's Therapist podcast, and I'll see you next time.
See you.
Bye-bye.